November 2016, our district initiated the Little Library Project in Northwest Pasadena in partnership with the Flint Ridge Center. The project entailed participants in Flint Ridge Center's apprenticeship program, building and installing 9 free little libraries, small wooden houses shaped containers that hold books for community members to take and return at any time for free. The apprenticeship program prepares formerly incarcerated gang members, impacted community members for careers in the construction trades, providing them with information, experience, and skills necessary to be successful. In May of this year, Flint Ridge Center's APP was nominated to compete in the prestigious Neighborhood USA Best Neighborhood Program for the year competition and proudly took second place. Now, I don't know who's representing Flint Ridge tonight, but we know that one of the persons integrally involved is Jaylene Mosley. And Jay, did you have any of your, why don't you come up and give us a quick blurb on that experience, and then we're gonna move the program. A quick blurb on that experience. Oh, okay. All right.
My name is Frank Rodriguez, and I'm a proud graduate of the Flint Ridge Center. Spent my life up to about 30 years old, incarcerated. Today I'm a local 398 union member, proudly working on Amazon buildings, tilt-up buildings. I'm a plumber and fitter, and it was all thanks to the Flint Ridge Center. All my class graduates that I graduated with are currently also working in the union. We installed these little libraries throughout the city, and it's just a sense of accomplishment to see kids go in and out of them, you know, compared to what I used to live today. Thank you very much.
All right. The point there is everyone in our community deserves an opportunity. Yes, we have to have hope, but hope alone is vacuous, it's empty. So hope plus opportunity gets results, and he is really an embodiment of hope plus opportunity. So let us help the formerly incarcerated become productive members of our community. That's the real way to integrate formerly incarcerated in our community. Thank you for your presentation. The next item I would like to mention is my appointee to the Civic Center Task Force. That's the task force that's been empowered by the mayor and the city manager to really deal with what does our Civic Center need to look like. And our appointee for that is my predecessor on the city council. Who's my predecessor on the city council? Wrong. Who's my predecessor on the city council? Immediate predecessor. No, it was Joel Bryant. Joel Bryant. He was appointed by the city council in the interim position. So Joel, yeah, that was a trick question. Okay. The Civic Center Task Force will reconsider the future development of the YWCA building and the larger context of the Civic Center. Mr. Joel Charles Bryan is District 3's appointee for the Civic Center Task Force. Mr. Bryan is currently a project manager for Hill Companies LLC in Laverne. And we just want to welcome Joel and let him know that it's a lot of hard work ahead. Then I'd like to introduce Carmela Landucci. Is Ms. Landucci in the room? Stand up, Ms. Landucci. Ms. Landucci earned a certificate in paralegal studies from Pasadena City College and a Bachelor of Science degree in Business and Management from the University of Redlands. Carmela worked more than 30 years for the phone company here in the city of Pasadena, where she held the position of tester technician. Most recently in 2012, she graduated from the Pasadena Citizens Police Academy from Pasadena Neighborhood Leadership Institute, class of 2015. So the reason I'm introducing Ms. Landucci is because she's one of the volunteers in District 3. As most of you know, city council members make about $14,000 a year. It's a part-time job, and our needs are significant. And one way I believe to expand our reach is through volunteers working in District 3 office along with Jana and Susanna. So she's one of the volunteers, and I'd like to introduce some of the other volunteers because they really work for that much money. And I am very demanding. And so at least I hope that we could welcome them into our family because they're working for our best interests. And if they're not, then they'll find something else to do. So I also would like to introduce Rosalinda Sarmiento. Are you here, Rosalinda? Pasadena City College student, Miss Rosalinda, is an avid District 3 volunteer at Pasadena City College. She is completing her studies in computer information systems. She enjoys working with the public, but would like to pursue a career in information technology. Thank you for being here tonight. Then I'd like to introduce a young man by the name of Thomas Jett. He's a San Marino High School senior. Mr. Jett has been a District 3 intern since last summer. Mr. Jett worked on a variety of complex assignments, including drafting District 3 community messages, historical research for the Pasadena Fire Department, and interviewers for the Latino Heritage Parade and Jamaica Veterans Project. He is currently a senior at San Marino High School, where he's an honor student and maintains a 4-point grade point average. I think that's what it's called, GPA. Yep, GPA. And for extracurricular activities, includes a member of the varsity volleyball team, stage crew, and titanium robotics. Welcome. Thomas Jett. Then I'd like to introduce Roberto Alvarez Portillo, a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science senior from Arizona State University. Mr. Roberto Alvarez Portillo was a United States Army communications operator and aspiring political science professional with 5 years of proven experience with applying analytical thinking to solve problems. Robert had held a security clearance during his military service and maintained security clearance eligibility. Welcome, and he's working on a whole host of activities for District 3. Then I'd like to introduce, and thank you for your service. That's big. And he lives in District 3 on, I believe, Sunset. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. I like that sir stuff. Okay. I'd also like to introduce David A. Reyes, Bachelor of Science in Political Science and Administrative Studies, senior from the University of California, Riverside. David Reyes works as a District Veterans Affairs caseworker intern for the Congressional Office in Hemet, California. Mr. Reyes develops and maintains comprehensive programs which identify and promote self-sufficiency in grant and per diem and contracts. David works with residential participants and veterans and helps them obtain new skills and resolve problems. And we're going to keep him very, very busy. Okay, I think that's an overview of our, thank you. I think that's an overview of what I wanted to share with you tonight. Susanna or Jenna, have I missed something that we definitely need to touch upon? You can speak up, it's okay, I won't bite. The last thing I want to say before I turn the mic over to our next speaker is that a gentleman who worked with me when I was president of the NAACP recently passed away on July 27th, 2017. His life began October 25, 1912, and he died July 27th, 2017. His name is Charles Johnson, and I'm not going to read his bio, but I'm going to allow through the meeting if you would just take a look at this extraordinary, kind, and caring man, Charles Johnson. He was a Pullman porter, and Pullman porters were folks who helped lead the civil rights movement. Some of you have read about A. Philip Randolph, who helped lead the Pullman porters in terms of rights for African Americans, but really rights for all Americans. And so I'd just like you, in honor of this extraordinary American, possibly to read his obituary. Okay, you have about 2 minutes, the next speaker. And I'd like to call up Bualam Busalo, the chair of the Sister Cities Africa Subcommittee, and give us a quick update. And then, following Bualam, I'd like to ask our distinguished police chief, Philip Sanchez, to come and provide updates. I've asked the chief to be brief so that there would be an opportunity for a couple questions. And I think that's fair to you and fair to the chief. But I did ask him to hit certain highlights, and please allow him to complete his presentation before you ask your questions. Bualam, welcome.
Good afternoon. I kind of feel honored to go before the chief of police. Before I start, I would like to recognize Mike Warner, currently talking to the vice mayor. He's a former president of the Pasadena Sister City Committee, and he is one of the key actors and engine in the Pasadena Sister City Committee. So regardless he's president or not president, he's one of the most active people. Are you, we have some international good news. Are you ready? A letter has come from the mayor of Dakar, the capital of Senegal, inviting a delegation from Pasadena to go visit and discuss the possibility of a sister city there. It has taken some time, but we have gone in many directions, tried a lot of things, but finally something has happened. And it is also important that the letter was hand-carried by the Honorary Council of Senegal from Dakar to Pasadena. We need all assistance we can get. A number of steps will take place from now on, namely to prepare the delegation. We need to raise some funds, organize a delegation, assign tasks, because upon return, the delegation has to prepare a document called a proposal of affiliation, an act of marriage, in simple languages. That needs to be accepted, voted and accepted by the Pasadena Sister City Committee. Then, should this happen, it goes to the next level, to the City Council, and should this be accepted again, then a delegation led by the mayor goes to Senegal, to Dakar, and encounter the mayor. So at this time, the delegation that is being prepared, hopefully, will be led by the Vice Mayor, John Kennedy here. So any one of you that is interested, please come join. We need a lot of people, a lot of activities, putting together the fundraising, among other things, and preparing the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Boalem. I also would like to mention that next week, Mayor Terry Tornick and his lovely wife, Maria Tornick, as well as the city treasurer, Viken Erganian, will lead our sister city trip to Vanazor, which is our sister city. And it's our 25th anniversary of establishing that sister city with Armenia. And the name of the city is Vanazor. Okay, next, our police chief, Phil Sanchez. Welcome.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be brief this evening so that I can turn it over to Lieutenant Mercado. For those of you that don't know him, he is your service area lieutenant. He'll go over some crime stats, but there are some important things that I wanted to cover. First, and surely not least, my boss, Steve Mermel, is in the audience, along with Dr. Benson, Pastor Turrentine, current president of the NAACP, Mr. Yarborough, Michelle White from the ACLU, Fire Chief Troutwine, and Jimmy Morris. I saw you, Jim, back there. So how you doing, Jimmy? Good to see you. So I wanted to go over a couple things just quickly that impacted the district, and I thought I'd start with the shootings that occurred from December of 2016 to February of this year. We might all remember in the district, we had a feud between two street gangs, one out east in Duarte and the other right here in Pasadena, that resulted in 3 homicides, one on Fair Oaks, 2 on Claremont, and then 2 attempt homicides on Garfield, North Garfield Avenue. I'm pleased to tell you that the Pasadena Police Department detectives identified 8 street gang members who are all currently in custody. They're looking at either the death penalty and or LWOP, life without the possibility of parole. We could not have achieved this accomplishment, and frankly, it is a coup, given the difficulties that face us as a community. But we could not, can you hear me without that? Great. We could not have accomplished that without the assistance of many of our community members who called the Pasadena Police Department, either provided information with a name and contact information, or anonymously. So if you were one of those individuals, let me say publicly, thank you. Your efforts really paid off very well. There was some extraordinary police work that was done by our detectives, and the reason I share that with you for the television, that's the only way to pick up my voice. But there was some just a great level of investigation and collaboration that went into that. And so I'm pleased to announce that those persons that are responsible for those killings and attempt homicides, that they'll be going through the judicial process. And of course, I'll update the vice mayor and the community as that occurs. I have said, if you've heard me speak before, I've said many, many times, the issues that face us as a community, face us as a society, we're not going to police our way out of those. It's not strictly a law enforcement effort into either incarcerating or identifying predators. We're going to have to think of a better way to prepare our young people so that they can make better decisions as we go forward. In that effort, I'm proud to tell you that in cooperation with Jaylene Mosley and the Flint Ridge Center, we heard one of our young success stories talk just a moment ago. We applied for and we are awarded a Prop 47 grant to the tune of about $2.5 million. What that grant will do for us locally under Jaylene's leadership is it will fund primarily the Pasadena Altadena Parole Reintegration Program. If you're not familiar with that program, I would ask that you either talk to Lieutenant Mercado, myself, or Jaylene. It is a program that helps our people that are formerly incarcerated as they're returning back to our communities, that we get them job skills. You heard some of that this evening, that we look at resume building, we look at tattoo removal, we look at mental health, we look at jobs, we look at education, we look at affordable housing, we look at those kinds of things. It sounds like a lot of money. Frankly, folks, in the continuum, it's a drop in the bucket. But Jaylene has, we have about 50 partners in the parole, in the reintegration program. It's been a very successful program. Those are the people that engage. Their recidivism is very low. So there'll be more on that. We're very excited. We're only one of 4 entities in LA County to receive that grant. And I have to give Jay really a lot of props. She stepped up. She collaborated with the police department. There were no other nonprofits who wanted to take that on. Also along those lines, I recently participated and had an opportunity to dialogue with the LA County Board of Supervisors. You may know through the papers that recently they approved to go forward on a blue ribbon committee to study recidivism and the impacts of AB 109, Prop 47, and Prop 57 in the future to our community. What have been the impacts thus far? And so there'll be more information on that blue ribbon committee. If you don't know what 47, 57, AB 109 is, you can Google those later. They do impact us a lot. It's a nice segue into our current, one of our current issues, property crime. Although Lieutenant Mercado will cover the crime primarily in District 3, I will tell you citywide, countywide, and in particular through the San Gabriel corridor, from Glendale to Pomona, we are under siege for property crimes. What we know are there are very sophisticated gang members from outside the city of Pasadena that are engaged in property crimes. They are looking for a few things if they break into your home. They're looking for guns, they're looking for cash, they're looking for jewelry, and they're looking for your electronics. So if you have a cell phone, a computer, or something like that, that's what these individuals are looking for when they break into your homes. When I tell you that they're sophisticated, that isn't just a fancy word to say that these folks really got it going on. They do. They do wreck and order. So I'll give you some examples of that, and I don't mind sharing with you. If you recently have purchased a home or sold a home, likely your realtor posted photographs of your home online. These individuals now go back and look at the photographs, and they look at the interior of your home so that they know where they're going and what they're looking for potentially. If you obviously sold your home, then the furniture is different and those kinds of things. But it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out, well, I can get in the home in the second story, or I can get in the home through the bay window, or I can get in the home through the doggy door, or I can get in your home whichever way they do. But they're looking at those kinds of things online. I share that with you because we typically don't think about those kinds of things. We don't worry too much about what we post or what we share, and then we go about our business. How many of you, by show of hands, are on Nextdoor? Great stuff, Nextdoor. If you don't know what Nextdoor is, please talk to one of our community members. It's a community blog that lets you tell stories and observations and share experiences with one another. That's all good stuff. When you see suspicious circumstances, instead of blogging about it, please call the police. Don't forget to call us so we can respond. What I would ask you to do, if you're on Facebook or Twitter or blogging on Nextdoor, please don't tell me that you're going to Europe for 4 weeks. Please. Yeah, because I'm not the only person that reads that. Other people read that as well, and we might make light of that, but at the end of the day, that's just another tidbit of information that you might share that somebody else is interested in. We are working diligently, and this might sound like overkill, and I apologize. We are working diligently with the FBI, with the JRIC, Joint Regional Intelligence Center, with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Burglary Task Force, and with the LA Impact, which is also a burglary task force, to try to mitigate the burglaries. We are arresting a lot of people. That's not the answer. The answer, in part, is making your home more safe. So if you're going to invest in a security system, I would ask that you invest wisely, whatever company you pick, that you can look at cameras or you can look at motion detectors. There's a technology out there where you ring the bell and you get a photograph. Whatever the system is, and you decide to purchase it, I only have one request. Use it. So when you go out for your walk, or you go to the Rose Bowl, or you walk around District 3, whether it's to the market or just simply for a brief walk, please set your alarm, because what we're finding is a lot of our community members are not setting the alarms when they need to. Briefly, and I'll close it out, and then I'll turn it over to the lieutenant. You've heard me speak before. You've heard me talk about guns. So far, year to date, Pasadena Police Department has seized about 190 guns in little old Pasadena. We're about 147,000 population, and we're 20 some odd square miles. There are a lot of guns in this community. Gun owners, I don't want to get into a discussion about right to possess firearms, Second Amendment. That's your business. What I would ask you, however, is that if you own a firearm, purchase a gun safe. It's great that you put a locking mechanism on the gun, and that protects probably from an accidental discharge. That's good stuff. But it doesn't secure the firearm from being stolen. So if you put the firearm in a safe, secure the safe to the floor, then the likelihood of a burglar, should they break into your home, stealing that gun is far more remote. I will share a story with you. It's a true story. Not that long ago, some of our local gang members knew of a location in Riverside County. They traveled to Riverside County. They burglarized the home of a retired postal inspector. They stole 50 firearms, 50. 3 of those firearms ended up in one of our community homicides. So there's a direct nexus to that kind of activity, that impact. So I would ask, please, if you are a gun owner, please secure your firearms, and I'll turn it over to Lieutenant Mercado. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Before the lieutenant comes up, I'd just like to take this opportunity to introduce a couple other folks. And the reason I introduce them because they're very busy like all of us, and it's an honor for me to have them come to our community meeting. And the first person I'd like to introduce is our city attorney, Michelle Bonarise. Michelle Bill Bonarise, Stanford Law School graduate, the longest serving city attorney for the city of Pasadena. Thank you for being here tonight. And also I'd like to introduce A.C. Brown, our battalion chief for Operations Division C Shift. Yeah, that's the tall gentleman going like this. Lieutenant Mercado.
Good evening. I'll attempt to be brief, primarily because I have some really good news. So for year-to-date, and I thought I'd get it all right from that councilman, year-to-date, District 3 is the second from the bottom for the lowest amount of crimes that we've had in the city of Pasadena.
Yay!
So primarily, however, this is good, sir. However, we are one of the highest for the amount of calls for service. The nexus between those two is because you take care of yourselves, look out for your neighbors, you see something, you say something, and you give us a call, we have an opportunity to be proactive and stop crime before it happens. I was at a startup neighborhood watch meeting last night sharing about, and I'm glad I can change the story now, sharing about a previous success that the police had last year, and 3 days of catching just under 10 burglars because of neighbors calling. Well, just this afternoon, we caught 3, again, not because of burglary alarm or sadly because my officers were proactive and saw it. It's because neighbors saw something happening, called, and gave us an opportunity, as the chief said, gave us an opportunity to get out there and proactively stop the crime from happening. So to that extent, I just want to encourage you all, please continue to do that. Continue to look out for one another. Call us and give us an opportunity to go out there and find out if the car that you think maybe doesn't belong there really does or doesn't. That's what we are here for. So please continue to give us that opportunity. So I did say we're second from the bottom in total amount of crimes this year. We've had 211 crimes reported in District 3 for the year to date, which is, again, phenomenal. We have had 15,500 calls for service, however, just in District 3. The great part, in my opinion, is it's almost equally split between you and the community calling for our assistance and our officers proactively, once they've learned about the information of where there are problem areas maybe in your neighborhood, of them proactively going out and doing things on their own, not waiting for somebody to call. So those numbers are within 200 of each other. The single largest category of calls for service that we've had this year, and it's kind of a catch-all. We've had just under 4,400 calls of that encompass not crimes, which is again a good note, but encompasses check the welfare, runaways, public assists, outside referrals, those kinds of things where we're helping. Not necessarily in an enforcement capacity, but more in a public welfare and a public care facility or stance. The place you probably want to stay away from the most, and I say this tongue in cheek, I'll preload my statement. The one that has the most calls for service year to date is the Pasadena Police Department. So we've had the most calls, and the reason that is because whenever we're unable to tie a call for service to a specific address and location in the city, the police department gets that. So if we were to move that to another district, then we would be the bottom of calls for service and crimes in the area. But outside of that, we're having probably the transient population is, I would say, driving our calls for service in District 3. The next highest locations in District 3 year to date where we have had the most calls for service are Target, the Senior Center, the library, I'm sorry, not the library, but the post office on Lincoln, the AMPM at Los Robles and Walnut, and the library. Every single one of those is a result, and the reason the numbers are so high and why we've both been called and our officers have gone on their own so frequently is because of the transient population tending to hang out and loiter and be drawn to those areas. So I'm happy to say that District 3 has been phenomenal this year. It's great to be second from the bottom. Most of the time, that's not a second from anything being the bottom, and good generally don't show up in the same sentence. But in this case, I think it's a great place to be for us in District 3. Thank you, sir.
Wait. Wait. This is a time and place for a quick Q&A, but wait, let me get settled. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen who are standing, if you'd like to just come forward, there are chairs here to my right, and I'd be happy just to hold up for a second for you to come on in to really get the full breadth of what's taking place inside. Penny, you can come on in. We'll have a seat here for you in the front. At this time, I would like to ask Police Chief Sanchez to come back to the podium, and we'll have a few questions. Now, I want to preface this. You will not be able to ask the police chief every question that you have. We have a full agenda. You have the agenda before you. Please hit what you believe are the important issues, and at some point, I'll have to cut it off so we can finish our meeting within an hour and a half. And I apologize up front if someone's disconcerted by the way in which I'm conducting this, but I want to make sure that we have opportunity for everyone who's on the agenda to be heard. So thank you for indulging my decision-making. Chief?
Do you want to pick the people to speak?
Okay, sure. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
You can stand.
I appreciate the police department because we've, Susan and I speak from Susanna, and we've had good experience with assistance from the police department. But we are noticing a resurgence of the homeless in Brenner Park. We'd really like for that to be checked out again. It stopped, but now there's a resurgence of homeless in Brenner Park.
So thank
So your
you.
assistance would be appreciated.
Thank you for sharing that. Well, Lieutenant Mercado's taking a note. We'll try to get some extra patrols there. We have recently hired some new park safety individuals. They're not officers, but they wear a light blue uniform and dark slacks or pants. They do have a police radio, and they're direct contact with us, and we try to keep our park safety officers in the parks so that they can do things proactively and report activity to the police officers.
Next question. Oh, I'm sorry if I put a damper on your question. Ms. Penny, please. Just one moment. Just one moment.
Mr. Sanchez, last Tuesday, I was on my way down Lincoln to get me some flowers to go in my yard. I lived here since 1956. I never saw this before, but I did see this. As soon as I crossed Raymond, at that light, there was a whole bunch of needles. Like somebody just opened up packets of needles and just threw them all over on the side. And that was awful. I never saw this here in Pasadena. I've been walking these streets for years. I never saw this. The first time I got my view, all the needles They were just, I was afraid for the kids to come from school, might pick up one of those needles and do something with it. So I said, I can't talk to these people on the corner because they don't speak English. So who can I talk to? So I just want you to let you be aware of it.
Thank you. If you didn't hear the statement, she found some needles, and in those kinds of situations, discarded needles, please call the Pasadena Police Department or the Fire Department. I know the chief's nodding, or Public Health also, Mary, because we do have a needle exchange and discard program, so we'd be able to do that safely for you.
Yes, ma'am. Here's the beautiful, yes.
How to use this. Okay, hello. My question is, when it comes to these people who are using these hard drugs, do we have anything in place, or can we use any part of that money that just came with that grant to help with rehab instead of incarceration for the poor individuals who are taking part in these illegal drugs?
So I imagine you mean poor in like poor condition and not poor economically, right? Because drugs doesn't really matter whether you're rich or poor. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really care about your socioeconomic status. It just is an issue. So yes, we do have programs not only through Flint Ridge, where we deal with substance abuse. We also have those referrals through the Pasadena Police Department to other nonprofits as well. I might remind the audience that drug use these days is moderately liberal in our state. We adopted Prop 47. We just recently approved the legalized marijuana. So it is not so much a crime anymore, frankly. So it's not so much a matter of incarcerating as much as it is trying to direct the person to getting some help.
One last question, please. Young lady there. Yes, you're that young lady.
I just have a question. Lieutenant Mercado, you mentioned that a lot of calls are driven by the homeless, and we know that that is a huge problem here in Pasadena. So what is the city doing, or what can we do as a society to help with that issue? I mean, I know we call a lot, because we have a lot of that problem where I live, and a lot of the freeways, especially Caltrans. What is the city doing to put pressure on Caltrans to also help with the walls that are not there that they continue to cut?
So let me take, that's a great question, very complex, and I'll try to answer it briefly, even though it's just touching on the tip of the iceberg. I'll take it in reverse order. We talk and dialogue consistently with Caltrans and the state so that we can look at the embankment encampment, and so that we can collect and properly take care of the abandoned property. If you don't know, it is the law that when property is abandoned, whether by a homeless person or otherwise, that the police department or the entity collecting that property must hold on to it for 60 days. So that way it gives a chance for the person to come back and claim that property if they'd like. So we work consistently with Caltrans. It's a little bit difficult because they're pulled in many directions, but we do work with them to get at the abandoned property and some of the encampments that are on the side of the freeway. I thought you asked the most profound question is, what can you do? Stop giving money to people on the freeway exits or overpasses or wherever you might encounter them. Don't give them food and don't give them money. If you can encourage them to go to the many nonprofits that we have in the city, where we can provide at least a better service for them, or get them substance abuse assistance or mental health assistance or whatever the case might be. But I know you're doing it out of the Christian sense of your heart, and I appreciate that. But giving the person a little bit of money really doesn't do a lot for them. I don't know where that money goes, but I do know if they go to a center that they'll get that kind of assistance that they need. With respect to the police department itself, we have a HOPE team. Many of you know that. It's an officer that is married up with a mental health clinician from DMH, the Department of Mental Health Services. We do a lot of interaction with the homeless people and try to get them into services through that team. We also work hand in hand with the housing department. They have a community outreach team as well. There are a lot more homeless people than there are HOPE people, but at the end of the day, that's one of our efforts to try to get that taken care of. Just keep calling the police department when you can. I know that many of you kind of lament the fact that the homeless are intermixed in our population, and oftentimes in my dialogue with you, you'll say, Chief, well, can't you just shoosh them out of the park? Can't you just move them along? And I would just ask you to point to that section in the Constitution that says that shooshing or moving along is fine. Because if you can show that to me and I can do it lawfully, okay, then we can have that discussion. But I don't think you want the kind of police department or police chief that would just indiscriminately say, okay, we're going to dismiss the Constitution in this case so we can try to rectify a problem. I don't think that's the kind of police department you want.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you for all of your important questions. Again, I'd invite those of you who may be standing outside to come in. There are chairs right up front. Ms. Charbellan former executive director of the Commission on the Status of Women. Please take a seat up front. Thank you. Thank you. So good to see you. Before we introduce the next speaker, in my neighboring councilmatic district, Alkebulan Cultural Center resides at 1435 North Raymond Avenue, and I'd invite Everett and Marjani Saunders to stand for a moment. And on Saturday, August 26th, from 3 to 6 p.m. is an open house, and they're going to have drummers, dancers, games, art, face painting, and refreshments. And their mission is culture, health, prosperity, family, wisdom, unity, and vision. I think it covers everything. But anyway, they have handouts, flyers, and I'd hope that all of you would take one of these flyers and consider supporting Alkebulan at 1435 North Raymond Avenue. Did I get that? Thank you for being here. Appreciate that very much. Yes, ma'am. Only because you're over 50? Miss Betty Ford says she's having a chili cook-off. That's Friday, August 25th, and it's called Chili from the Heart. This is a family-oriented event. Bring the family, enjoy the fun festivities. That's 6 to 8 p.m. at Lake Avenue Congregation. Is it congregational?
They don't say congregation anymore.
Lake Avenue Church at the corner of Lake and Maple. That's the corner of Maple and Lake.
Vote for my chili, the best chili.
Oh, all right. Now,
Ron, it's a car show also.
it's a car show also. Now, let me just be clear, because a lot of you will attempt to bombard me. So you have to tell me your age, else I'll never do this again.
I'm 80.
Okay, so if you're 80 and above, and you have a special announcement, I'll give you props. 80 and above. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ford. The next speaker is from our fire department, our illustrious fire department. The city of Pasadena is going to have to figure out how to pay for new buildings to be in compliance with a state audit. That's on our radar with all the other of millions of dollars of unfunded projects. However, our deputy chief is not here to talk about buildings tonight, and I'll let him introduce his colleague who is here with him. But please welcome John Trotwine, our deputy fire chief. Thank you. He'll provide updates from fire.
All right. Thank you, sir. On behalf of Chief Washington and Pasadena Fire Department, thank you, Vice Mayor Kennedy, for the opportunity to make a few brief statements. I know this is like TV. You got to get your slot in and get your statements out, or else you miss your opportunity. So I do have a few brief statements. I know there's a lot of very important people that were acknowledged here tonight, but we missed one, the most important person to me, and that's my wife, Barbara, in the back. Hi, sweetheart. So I got to acknowledge her first of all. But getting to some important business, I do want to make a few comments from the desk of the fire department. But one of the comments I want to talk briefly about is just our mission. Our mission really is your safety. So we are here for you. And when you look at all the community programs we're involved in, it's pretty evident that our firefighters, our men and women, are here for you. So every time we get these opportunities to give updates, we want to express that, hey, our mission is really your safety. And part of that is response. We are responding throughout the city. Over last fiscal year, I looked at the numbers, over 19,500 responses, which is a lot for a department our size. We have 8 fire stations across the city. So we're responding to a lot of medical emergencies, fire emergencies, rescues, a lot of hazards. That was a great example of a hazard. If you find a red bag with needles everywhere, call 911. We'll get the police, the fire department out, and we'll mitigate that hazard. That's a big part of our mission. The other part of our mission really isn't just response. I know you see us in the big fire trucks and you think that's all we do. No, we have a big prevention mission too. And that's why we're involved in all those community programs. And really, for us, if we can prevent an emergency, like Vice Mayor Kenny brought up all the buildings, well, we take fire code enforcement very seriously. And as we construct those buildings and as we come out to inspect them, we really want to make sure that they're safe for all of us in the community to be in and out of those buildings. Looking at District 3 specifically, those 19,500 calls last fiscal year, 17% of those were here in District 3. And I thought it was interesting. I want to share with you the 3 greatest type calls of that 17% here in District 3. The first one was false alarms. Interesting, huh? Well, we respond to a lot of alarms, and those are more fire alarms, and the vast majority of those are false. They could be system alarms, it could be a smoke detector, it could be just food on the stove that causes a little smoke, and then we respond out, and you're embarrassed. But the bottom line for us is call us if you need us, but realize we do respond to a lot of false alarms too, and we want to come look at those quickly, and we want to clear our resources quick to be available. The second highest type call in District 3 here is shortness of breath. Now, let me make a couple comments about that. So what can we do about that as a community or as district? I'll tell you what we can do. Make sure you're up on your medications. Make sure you're making your doctor's appointments. I find, as I remember over the years responding as a paramedic, a lot of times we respond on these shortness of breath calls, and my first thought is, why didn't you call us sooner? You're really having a lot of trouble breathing. Obviously, that started this morning or yesterday or the night before. Don't wait. If you are feeling crummy, and you have the means, get to your doctor right away. Make that call or call 911. We're going to respond out. We're going to assist you and we're going to help you. But please don't wait. If you think you need help, don't hesitate. That's what we're here for. And we want to help you. We find if we come out to that shortness of breath call sooner than when you're really, really, really doing bad, boy, we can help you with some of the medicines we have, even just simple oxygen, and we can get you to the emergency room and get a doctor with definitive care for you, and you end up doing much better. The third type call that is most prevalent here in District 3 is a fall. And a lot of that is our elderly falling. And I want to make a couple statements on that, what you can do. There are a lot of things you can do. As basic as having good shoes, good tennis shoes, right, that grip well, that don't come off your feet. That's one. Looking through your house, and some of these throw rugs that we throw down, they look beautiful and they're soft on your feet when you get out of the bathtub or shower, but they can become a trip hazard also, especially as we get older. Something as simple as making sure you go to your eye doctor and your prescription's updated. They find that our elderly, some of the falls are attributed, they just didn't see the hazard. And it was all related to not keeping up with their eye care. Interesting, huh? Even exercising, if you can, get out and take walks. It helps your agility. So there's all these things we can do to mitigate falls. So start to think about that in your house, in your apartment, or wherever you're at, especially with our elderly. Let's look out for them. And if you see something in your home, grandma's home, and you're going, you know, this rug really, I'm tripping on it, we can move that rug, buy her an early Christmas gift, let's say. We're getting close enough. Why not, right? So take care of each other. So those are the three type calls. One of the other things I want to briefly talk about is just our values. You know, I said our mission, we're responding, we're preventing, we're here to serve you, we're here for your safety. Some of the values that we have are accountability, integrity, flexibility. Those are really important to us. And I want you to help us keep accountable to that. And you know, approach the firefighters, approach us if you have issues or if you have complaints or just something that we need to help you solve a problem. That's the kind of people, the men and women that we ascribe to on our department here to serve you. That's the kind of men and women we want. We want to be that for you. Interesting enough, you've probably heard this before. I know you have from the chief because he gets excited about this like I do. We're an internationally accredited fire department, and we're an Insurance Service Office Class 1 fire department. That doesn't mean a lot to you, but as a firefighter, that's huge. There's only several departments throughout California that have aspired to that. Well, what's that mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means that we have men and women in our fire department that do an outstanding job in terms of industry best practices, how we respond, how we prevent. We're on top of it. So we want to keep getting better. So that values, they're very important to us. One other thing I want to talk about, we in the fire department, we like to look at data. You know, data is like something that everybody's looking at now. And it's sometimes fire departments, it takes a long time to get away from the paper, you know, and get to the computer. But some of the things we look at in data are response times. So when you see us running around your district, we take that response time very seriously. We call it turnout time, which is how quickly we can get dressed for a fire or for a medical emergency or service or rescue call and get out of the station, and how long it takes us to get to you. So just for your overhead information, because you'll hear these numbers from time to time, when it comes to a fire response, we give our firefighters about 1 minute, 20 seconds to get dressed and out the station, and then about a 5-minute response time. And we try to do that 90% of the time. And when it comes to medical emergencies, you get a little less time to get out of the gate because you're not having to put a big turnout coat and stuff on. So we say about 6 minutes for that turnout time plus response time. So what's that mean for you? Well, we want to get to you in around 5-6 minutes because we feel that we can mitigate your issue, whether it's a fire or a medical emergency, much quicker. So keep that in mind. Last thing I want to comment on is CERT, Community Emergency Response Team. Has anyone taken our CERT class, the full one or the overview? Michael, I see he has. Oh, God, this is great then. I'm glad I brought this up. Lisa Dudarian, our emergency manager, she manages our CERT program. So every spring, we have a full class. Now, for most of you, that's quite a commitment. It gets you there 4 Saturdays for about 8-10 hours, so and it gets a little physical. So some of you will aspire to take that whole CERT class and become a leader here in District 3. Now, those of you who don't aspire or aren't completely able, we have what's called an overview. And I know last year, we did an overview here in District 3, and we're hoping Vice Mayor Kennedy will want to do another one this year. So hopefully between Lisa Dudarian and your office, we can get that. And then we want to encourage you to come to that overview. So it's one Saturday out of your life, but it gives Lisa and our team an opportunity to help you know how to get through a disaster, like an earthquake, where there's only very few of us responding, and you might not see us for a while. So what do you do? How can you help your district and your neighborhood be prepared? That's what that's all about. And I'm glad not many hands went up because I'm pitching this. This is a really good class. I'm recommending it, and I'm recommending that overview for 100% of you. And a couple of you that are going to be the leadership people, go for the full class. You won't regret it, and it'll be a very great experience for you in this community. That was all I have. Thank you very much for your time.
Well, excuse me. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't say you can talk. Hello? Oh, you're going to talk anyway. You must be over 80.
Yes,
Huh?
I am.
Oh, okay, you can ask a question. Go ahead.
There are
Please
about,
introduce yourself.
I'm Maggie Belton, and I have lived around here for about 50 years now, and people keep cropping up that I know, and some of them crop up who know me. But what I want to say, I'm a senior, and I fall. I live near Lake and Villa, and when I fall, I can hear them on their way because they turn on the siren. But I have informed them, do not turn on that $250 siren for me unless I can't talk. The other thing is, I travel across the United States. You wouldn't believe it with me sitting on the scooter, but I do. I even travel in LA County, and we have one of the best fire departments in all of LA County. I know because I move around. I am proud of our police and fire departments when I come from Pasadena, and I say to them, oh, you don't do that? I'm always surprised when I find out what people don't do. This fire department, when I went up to the Church of the Nazarene and crawled on the bricks and stuff, even with myself on a wheelchair, they taught me what I needed to do. The first thing they said is, remember, you're going to get one flush. All you're going to get when the earthquake comes is one flush. And they said what to do. Also, remember, the ATM is going down. You better have some money. And they told me where to hide it. I want you to know what your, oh yeah, in the frozen chicken. I just wanted to comment them while I was in public. You know, we mumble these things. I'm always, you stand back, John. I've always got something I can complain about. Every now and then you need to come out of the woodwork and say what people do good. They pick me up and put me to bed. If I say I have no clothes on, they send one of the ladies. This is what your fire department is doing besides putting out fires. As you get to be a senior, you're going to find you're going to need them to pick your buns up off the floor. So I suggest you support your friendly fire truck. And I'll stop talking now.
Wow. Ms. Hickenbottom, I won't, but I'll allow you. But remember, we only have about 20 minutes left, but go ahead, please.
I just have a quick question about safety around your home with flammable liquids.
Sure.
I specifically don't know how I get them, 'cause I don't like flammable liquids, but I
Okay.
have 3 containers of lighter fluid in my garage from people barbecuing. I don't want them there. How do I dispose of that?
Well, we have a disposal day with the city that comes up from time to time, so check your email or go on the city website to see when you can do that. Or to be quite honest, you can go up to your fire station and say, hey, will you guys take care of this for me? We barbecue all the time. And really, that lighter fluid in the container is perfectly safe. The containers are designed to keep it perfectly safe. So bring it by the fire station, but I know we have a hazardous disposal it's usually on a Saturday up at the Rose Bowl. That's a perfect place to go drop it off. I don't, Steve, do you know when the next one is?
We just did an electronic one this past weekend.
Yeah. So bring it by the fire station or wait for the hazard disposal day, and they should be able to take care of that.
Can you please tell us quickly, Deputy Chief Troutwine, how do you dispose of old medicines?
Very good question. That's a great question. So I think the key is make sure that no one can get their hands on them, right? So don't dispose of them intact like in a trash can. So what I would recommend is you can crush them and/or flush them down your toilet. That way they're completely gone and, yeah.
They say bring them to a fire
Don't flush
station.
them because that's the chemicals and it stays in the
That's
water.
right. They say take them to the fire station.
We'll take them at the fire station too. Yeah. Or get the hospital. Yes. Yes. It's a very good question.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Say thank you to the fire department. Say thank you to Maggie Belton. Okay. All right. Very quickly, if we can come back to order. As you know, the renovations of Robinson Park are proceeding nicely. Each time that we've had a community meeting since that time, I've shared with you we need $3 million for the pool, and there's a gap of funding. This is a critical piece of the fabric of District 3. I need my $3 million. I need our $3 million. I want to reintroduce, not to come to the podium necessarily, but reintroduce our city manager, Steve Mermel, if you would stand. And I would like all of you to put as much political pressure quietly on Steve Mermel and the mayor to find $3 million for the pool for our young children and the monies that are necessary to close the gap. But I'd just like to give less than 30 seconds to someone who headed the committee from District 3 to tell you some good news about money related to District 3, and that's Danny Parker. Danny chaired the Robinson Oversight Committee. Danny?
So very briefly, we're, as John mentioned, this funding gap that we're trying to close, and we have a bit of good news in that direction. The Tournament of Roses Foundation has a community support fund that is geared or targeted towards parks, and $160,000 will be going towards Robinson Park, and that's been okayed by Mr. Mermel. And so we're very grateful for the efforts of the Tournament of Roses Foundation. Specifically, we've been working with LaWayne Williams of the tournament. And so, again, we're very grateful for at least that first step towards closing that funding gap. And anyone community-minded who has some excess spare change in your pocket, this is a good place to direct those funds. So, again, a public thank you to the tournament and LaWayne.
Thank you, Danny. Now I'd like to move the agenda forward. And as I do, I'd like to call out, before I introduce our next presenters, Patricia Brin, Dr. Patricia Brin, who is from Pacific Oaks College. Would you please stand? We are delighted that you're here today. Pacific Oaks College primary campus, you can continue to stand. Pacific Oaks College primary campus is in District 3, and they just recently purchased the building that is encompassed by the streets Villa, Fair Oaks, Lincoln, and Eureka. I'm having a Eureka moment. Thank you for being an integral part of our community. We have great expectations. As you grow, the community grows. So thank you for being here tonight. I'd like to introduce Rick Castillo, who is the Director of Marketing for Vallarta Supermarkets, and Griselda, or is it Griselda Escobar, who's Head of Human Resources, who will give updates about Vallarta. And all of you were made aware that they made not just are coming to our community, but they made a $5 million, or are making a $5 million investment right below us and to the north. So please welcome Rick Castillo and Griselda Escobar.
Good evening, everybody. Some fantastic speakers so far for the meeting. I don't know how I can follow that up, especially with Ms. Belden. I'm probably butchered her name, but she was amazing. Again, my name is Rick Castillo. I'm the Director of Marketing for Vallarta Supermarkets. I'm joined by Griselda Escobar, who works in our HR department. Again, thank you, John and his staff, for having us, inviting us to be here. We're happy to be here. I've attended some community meetings already, and I continue to ask and implore you folks, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, I've provided my email directly to John's staff. I could provide to you. Please email us. We want your input because, like I've said it before, if we don't get your input, we don't get some feedback from you, the likelihood of our business succeeding in this community decreases. So please, whenever you get a chance, feel free to drop me an email. My computer is open. As far as updates, construction is going well. Typically, when a store is being built or renovated, it's the weather that plays a factor in delaying the construction. But as you all know, we've had great weather, no rain. Some of you could take it in a negative way because I think we're still in a drought. But anyways, we're still working very hard, very diligently to open the store as quickly as possible. So hopefully we'll be open and be able to provide another option for the community to do their grocery shopping. One of the things, we're looking at the end of the year, towards the end of the year, November, December. What's that? November 29th. Hopefully we can stick to that date. One of the speakers that talked about, or that said a few words earlier, that was from the Flint Ridge Center. I mean, what an inspiration. And then John followed that up with opportunity. And that's what Vallarta is bringing to Pasadena, is opportunities and jobs. And I'd like to have Griselda say a few words about our upcoming job fair, and not to steal any thunder, I'll let Griselda talk about it.
Thank you, Rick. We recently had a recruitment event about on the 8th and on the 11th, and we had a great turnout. We are recruiting on a stage situation, and we are going to be having approximately 302 opportunities or job offers for members of the community to join Vallarta's team in Pasadena, and we would definitely like for you to help us spread the word. We do have a recruitment line. If you look at the store, right in front of the store, there is a banner. We have a recruitment line where you can get updates as to when we're going to be having the next recruitments. We will be having one on September the 19th, so please, I welcome you. There are some flyers in the back. They look like this. You don't mind getting one as you head out, and please help spread the word. We are wanting to have Vallarta represent the community of District 3, and we are hoping to hire everyone for those 302 positions that we have available from the city of Pasadena. So please help us spread the word. And again, you are more than welcome to get the phone number for our recruitment line, which is 818-639-5650. We have entry-level positions.
Repeat the number again.
818-639-5650. Again, it is on the banner right outside from our store, and so you can find it there. And I think that's it. Oh, we have entry-level positions as well as skilled positions. We are willing to train. We're looking for customer service, and that is basically what we need for the position and anyone who's willing to come in and look for either full-time or part-time job. So we welcome you on our next recruitment, which will be on the 19th at the Jackie Robinson Center, Community Center, about 0.4 miles away from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry that I'm not going to be able to take questions, and the reason for that, we have 9 minutes, and we have 2 more speakers, 3 more speakers, 4 more speakers. So at this time, I would like to call Mary Urteco Garcia. Okay. Urtecho Garcia from the Public Health Department, who will talk to us about healthy programs and healthy eating practices. I'm going to go over the remainder of the agenda very quickly, so the speakers will conduct themselves accordingly. After Mary, we will hear from Brian Beery from the Pasadena Neighborhood Leadership Institute. Then we'll have some closing remarks from John, and then we'll invite Pastor Terry Turrentine to come forward, the pastor of Deliverance Tabernacle, Kojic. Now, the folks from Vallarta, will you stay around because there were several individuals who would like to ask questions? Thank you very much. Please.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having us here. Again, my name is Mary Urtecho Garcia, and I am the program coordinator for the Nutrition and Physical Activity Program of the City of Pasadena's Public Health Department. And a lot of you may or may not know that the City of Pasadena has its own health department, so that's a big feather in our cap. So we're only one of 3 cities in the entire state of California that has its own. So for us, it's a really, really impressive thing. We are an accredited health department as well. And it's very nice to be able to have our own because we can always customize what the needs of our country are. Now, do we have time to show a video? We're going to show a video, but it's 4 minutes. But I guess
Let me just ask the audience.
Yes.
Would you like to see the video?
Yeah. Okay,
Okay, let's see the video.
Show them the video. It's a really great video.
What determines how long we'll live? Is it what we do? Is it who we are? Actually, when it comes to predicting how long you'll live, your zip code is more important than your genetic code. Here's how this works. Meet Deb and Maria. They both have jobs, they're around the same age, they're both married, and they both have 2 kids. Deb lives in A-Town, while Maria lives in B-ville, less than 1 mile away. They're similar in so many ways, but here's the thing. On average, residents of B-ville will die more than 15 years sooner than the residents of A-Town. Why? Because where you live is about more than just your address. It's about your opportunities. For example, Deb and Maria's access to healthy options is really different. In A-Town, Deb's family is surrounded by healthy food options, including farmers markets, specialty shops, and grocery stores. The air in A-Town is cleaner and fresher, and there are lots of safe, clean parks where Deb can exercise and her children can play. A-Town has good public schools for Deb's kids and easy access to emergency and preventive health care. On the other hand, B-ville has broken, badly lit sidewalks, and the parks are unsafe. The air is filled with truck exhausts from the nearby highway. And for food options, Maria's only choices are B-ville's many liquor stores, fast food places, or convenience stores. The schools in B-ville are overcrowded and undersupported. And even if Maria can get her kids into better schools far away, she needs to figure out how to get them there without access to a car. So for Maria, having to juggle so much to find healthy options can be an overwhelming source of chronic stress, which is a serious health risk factor. In fact, for all the residents of B-ville, chronic stress drives health problems like obesity, diabetes, asthma, and heart disease. How did A-Town and B-ville get so different? Well, in many cases in cities and towns across California, the root cause was racial and economic discrimination. Over the generations, poor white people and people of color were pushed to less desirable parts of town, where banks refused to lend money, businesses left, jobs too, schools declined, and the neighborhood crumbled. Everyone who could move away did. And what's more, when communities like A-Town and B-ville are so unequal, B-ville isn't the only one that suffers. Because it turns out that not only is your zip code a predictor of how long you'll live, so is what country you live in. Countries with the greatest income inequality have the lowest life expectancy. So even Americans like Deb, who are white, insured, college-educated, and upper income, die younger than their peers in other countries. In fact, our life expectancy is 43rd in the world, and that number is slipping. In the end, our biggest health risk may actually be inequality, and extreme inequality hurts us all. So what do we do? Well, if we're all going to be healthier, we don't just need to help the folks in Beeville beat the odds. We need to change the odds for everyone. And that's what we're doing. There's a movement happening. We're Californians. We don't follow. We lead. We are building the power to make health happen in communities across the state. We are coming together to build one California, a smarter, more inclusive and equitable state that creates health and opportunity for all of us. Join us. To learn more, visit buildinghealthycommunities.org.
So when we're working in public health, we're not just looking at just some of the health related. We're looking at health policy and health and all policy, and we're constantly trying to make sure that our community is healthy. So we are looking out for you, and so there's a few things that our program is actually working on right now. So we used to do a lot more. A lot of you may not have seen me around. I've been here with about 15 years, so we've been working a lot, doing a lot of community education. The school district as well has had a lot of community, but we're up against a lot of other things. If I'm telling people, can I have that bag? If I'm talking to people about the dangers of too much sugar in some of our drinks or something, what do you think's happening on the other spectrum? We have a lot of big organizations that are kind of working towards promoting it. When we're watching the football game, do we see commercials about broccoli? No. What are we seeing commercials about? There's things, all kinds of things. So one of the things, can you just go through? So again, it's not where, it's not so much of where are we, you are what you eat. Now we have to start thinking about you are where you live. And so that's what this was trying to let us know, that there are inequities even in our beautiful city. And I love Pasadena. And not only do I work for the city of Pasadena, I live in the city of Pasadena. So I consider myself truly a stakeholder in this community because I really want to make sure that everyone is healthy here. I'm so happy that Vallarta's coming in. I've had the privilege of visiting some of the stores in other parts of California, and they're just beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to that. With that being said, the city of Pasadena does have a procurement policy. What that means is that all city funds, all of your taxpayer monies that when we're purchasing snacks or beverages for any of the programs that we have, they do have to follow a nutritional guideline. One of the things that we did with the vending machines is we took everything out of the city vending machines that are on city property. So this is typically what we would have in a vending machine, a 20-ounce bottle of sugar sweetened beverage. The average amount of sugar that's in here is about 17 teaspoons of sugar. So if our children had one a day for an entire week, at the end of that week, they would have consumed 119 teaspoons of sugar. These are the types of classes that we're trying to really get that information out. That's why we're doing it. We can't go individually to everyone's homes, but we can make those environmental changes that we're looking forward to. So we are going to be changing our vendor soon. I'm already in the process of that. I just have to sign a contract, and we will be getting vending machines that sort of look like this in all of our community centers. What's the next thing? You want me to talk about that? Okay. So we also have a campaign called Be Better. The tagline is, you don't have to be perfect. We're not asking everyone to be perfect. We aren't. I do eat French fries. I do eat pizza. It's, you plan for it. You don't have to be perfect. Just be better. So there's three taglines. One, eat better by adding fruits and vegetables, more fruits and vegetables in your diet. Play better. Add more exercise. Just move. Our bodies are made for motion. Just get up and move. I hope a lot of you took the stairs coming up today. And then the last one is refresh better. Our bodies need water. Our bodies really, truly need water. And if you've had the opportunity already, we do have some pineapple flavored water over there. That's a way you can get your family to drink more water. It's fresh, it's frozen pineapple we have it in a dispenser, but you can put it in a pitcher at home. Use any herbs. You can call us and let us know anything. Ask us and we'll be able to help you. We do have that. The other thing that we're working on, Esmeralda, do you want to talk about that? Come on up. So I don't do this alone. I do have a team. This is Esmeralda Garcia, no relation, and Mark Estrada, who's also part of our team.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So as Mary mentioned, we have what we call within the Nutrition and Physical Activity Program, we have a project that we call the Pasadena Healthy Retail Program. And what that program aims to do is it focuses efforts specifically in Northwest Pasadena, and our program works directly with small neighborhood markets. So has anyone heard the term food desert? Yes. Okay, so a food desert really means is that there is a lack of access to fresh fruits and vegetables. So our program in the past conducted a survey in Northwest Pasadena. So that includes District 1, District 3, and a sliver of District 5. District 1, District 3, and part of District 5, the survey found that there was an abundance of the convenience stores and small markets that sell soda and chips and not the fresh fruits and vegetables that we need to be a healthy community. So our program is addressing that through this healthy retail program. And so we're working with the store owners, we're fostering relationships with them, we're conducting train-the-trainer workshops, we're doing food demos, and just recently, about a year and a half ago, our program received community development block grant money that comes from federal funds, from HUD, and it's allowing us to provide a mini grant application where 4 small markets in Northwest Pasadena can apply for additional funding. So we're talking about $14,500, and that money can be used to purchase refrigeration. So if we're telling them sell more fresh fruits and vegetables, but they're like, well, we want to do that, but we don't have the equipment to do that. So that was a gap that we identified through these conversations and these surveys. So we found this opportunity through the City of Pasadena's Housing Department that they had the CDBG funds that we applied for and we got. So we're currently in that process. The application, we have 2 stores that received these funds, and we're currently looking to purchase that equipment. We're coupling it with education. So there's many facets to building a healthy community through this program.
And we need your help to do that.
Yes.
If you see things that we don't see, you're in the community longer than we are. But just really quick, I know this is our contact information, but I do want to tell you something. If you live above the 210 freeway in 91103?
Yes.
91103.
That's the Public Health Department address.
Yes, this is our public health, the public health department. We're north on Fair Oaks. If I live there, my life expectancy is 77, while someone in Beverly Hills is 87. If I lived below the 210 freeway around City Hall, my life expectancy is 90, and Beverly Hills is 87. So that is a 13-year gap between the 2 zip codes. So be aware of that. We're aware of it. We want you to be aware of that. So we got you woke. We got you woke. So that's a great disparity. So we're here. We're more than willing, and we have the energy to help the communities as needed. Thank you so much for having us.
Appreciate it. So that was an extraordinary information, particularly the video that was shared. It kind of was unvarnished. And one of my close friends in the audience said, next time, let them go first. So, oh, you did also? Oh, so that is to compliment our representatives from our health department on the information that they have provided us, which is extraordinary. Do I see someone in the back from the PUSD? Who is that? Who? Oh, Michelle Richardson Bailey, our new representative on the Pasadena Unified School District. Say hi. Brian Beery, Collaborate Pasadena, please come forward. Before Brian takes the podium, because I really appreciate the fact that the highest executive in the city of Pasadena would come to our community meeting, I think I would be remiss, and all of you would be somewhat remiss, if we didn't at least invite Steve Mermel, our city manager, to say a couple of words. I may say something interesting about his leadership. We just heard from the Pasadena Health Department. There was a time not long ago when Steve was the assistant city manager, and we were thinking about draconian cuts in the health department with people and programs. And Steve really ushered us through a process to save jobs, reallocate resources, and really make the health department somewhat whole. Not fully whole, but somewhat whole. And since the time he took over the leadership of the city, we've got a full accreditation for our health department. And in some measure, Steve is to be commended for that as well. So Steve, if you would just come and just say hello to District 3 residents, I'd really appreciate it. And then Brian will come. There'll be no closing remarks from the Vice Mayor, and then we'll have Terry Turrentine close us out.
Thank you, John. Good evening, everybody. I'll be very brief because Brian Berry wants to share some interesting information with you, and everybody's already stayed. I'm just very honored and proud to work for the city nearly 29 years. Very proud that the Vice Mayor and his colleagues on the City Council selected me to be the city manager a little over a year ago. You've seen some of the fine people this evening that work for the city, the health department, the fire department, the police department. You see that they're all very committed. Lola Osborne, Horace Wormley, Jarvis Emerson, we're all here to serve you. We love doing it each and every day. If there's anything we can do for you, call. I'm accessible. We're all accessible. Thank you all. Brian.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank Vice Mayor John Kennedy for allowing me to speak, and then also thank you for all staying. I know I'm keeping you between I'm preventing you from getting your broccoli. So, and by the way, I live in 91103 too, so I'm kind of worried about, how many more years do I have left? My name is Brian Berry. I work for Collaborate Pasadena, and I want to ask you a couple questions real quick. First of all, how many of you want to make a difference in your community? Okay, almost everybody, pretty good. How many people want to make your neighborhood a better place to live? Okay, good, but pretty much everybody. Oh yeah, there's some enthusiasm in the background. I have two opportunities for you to do just that. So the first one is, and our youth ambassadors, if you could hand out the flyers, that'd be great. So the first one is a neighborhood summit. This is going to be September 18th, and this is what the flyer looks like, but you'll get a copy in a second. September 18th, we'll be at La Casita del Arroyo. We're bringing together neighborhood groups from Pasadena, Altadena, and Sierra Madre. So that's what the little difference is or distinction is in Collaborate Pasadena. The PAS stands for those three jurisdictions because we're linking, and I'm glad Michelle is here, we're linking to the Pasadena Unified School District boundaries. So you'll see neighborhood watches from Sierra Madre. You'll see ACONA, which is Altadena Council of Neighborhood Associations. You'll see MBBA, which is Neighbors Building a Better Altadena. And you'll also see people like Garfield Heights, people like Orange Heights, Craftsman Heights, and then hopefully the W.D. Edson folks. We've got a multitude of neighborhood associations or neighborhood groups in this room. Sunset Avenue, Lincoln Triangle was here a little while ago, East Arroyo Residents Association. So the idea is to share best practices, to learn from each other, to tell stories, to say, what are we doing in our neighborhood that you could steal from? We want people to steal from each other, not Chief Sanchez, not physically, but steal great ideas, steal best practices, steal information that'll make your neighborhood a better place to live. So that's the first one. The second one is the Neighborhood Leadership Institute. Are there any people who have taken this before? A few people in Susanna, George. I think there were a few people who took this in the past. So it's a 10-week course. Some of what you've seen here today as far as administration, as far as bureaucracy, as far as making decisions, budget, all of that will be covered in this. Conflict resolution, diversity, running effective meetings, public speaking, that'll all be covered. It's a free program. It's 10 weeks long. We've got some great support from the Tournament of Roses Foundation and several other agencies to help us to put this on. So What I would like you to do is take a look at it. That's the application. We'd like them in a couple weeks. We're aiming to have 25 students. We'll be meeting at various places around town, including the library. We'll be meeting at anybody know where the Western Justice Center is? We'll be meeting there. Yeah, you guys know, I can't stump you with anything. We'll be meeting in Altadena. We'll be meeting at Sierra Madre. So, and it's a free program. One other thing I wanted to mention about this, is there anyone here who speaks Spanish? Alguna persona que habla español? We're going to have Spanish interpreters at each of the sessions. So if you do know people who would like to take it and they're Spanish speakers, they are welcome as well. So thank you very much, Vice Mayor Kennedy, and go eat some broccoli.
Now I'd like the pastor of Deliverance Tabernacle Church to come forward. And is there anything that you'd like to shout out for the good of the whole that's not controversial, not sexist, not racist, doesn't demean your neighbor, and lifts up the community? Anything for the good before the pastor comes? Yes, ma'am. Speak up loudly.
On Saturday, September 23rd, on the flip side, there will be a huge collaboration of city agencies, nonprofits, thank you, who come together in the interest of the young child. So this will be the launch of the of Pasadena becoming a city of early learning by 2025. And that will involve a huge number of organizations in our community who come together to support that.
Sharon Calkin, our appointee to the Library Commission. Now, Pastor Terry Turrentine.
Thank you.
God bless you. As we get ready to leave, Father God, we thank you today, Lord. We thank you for this time. We thank you for the gift of life. Lord, we ask that you bless us, you keep us, Lord, as we leave this place. Lord, we ask that you bind us together in this community as people together, looking for the best in each and every one of us. We ask that you give us your continued wisdom and our leadership the continued wisdom that will keep us moving forward and prospering. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Thank you.